Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Reclaiming Your Life. I am your host, Kamara.
This podcast is designed to help women overcome their insecurities, self-doubt, and fears within themselves to pursue their dreams by telling her own life experiences. Here's your host, Kamara.
Hi, Courage. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me.
No, I thank you for having me to speak with you. Like, I am so excited to have you. I first listened to you on Patrice Washington's podcast, and when I listened to your story, I was like, you know what? This lady right here, she is just like so phenomenal because you are a believer. You believe in God. You know, you're a Christian, but you also just you're just yourself, and you're being yourself unapologetically without trying to worry what others say or think about you. So that is what caught my eye, and I was like, you know what? I need to follow her because, like, you're dope. You are.
Oh, yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So, tell us, the listeners, a little bit about yourself, what you do, and about your business.
Okay, so basically, I help women to live the life they really want. If you think about the top two reasons we don't do the things that we really want to do in life, most people are going to say fear of something and doubt. And I think the cure for fear and doubt is bold faith and confidence. So I basically help women to become bolder in their faith, which leads to them having more confidence, and it gives them the courage to go after the things they actually want in life. Not this like, oh, this would be nice if, but like, these are my huge, big dreams. Now I'm ready to actually take the steps towards them.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I do.
I love it.
I do that through coaching. I do it through coaching. I have a community-based coaching group, which I absolutely love, the Courage Circle. And I'm also a co-coach for the Mastery and Momentum. So I bring tons of faith to that community as well. And I have a signature program, the Courage Mastermind, and it requires them to go a little bit deeper before they start to step out. But regardless of where you see me, or product, service, free stuff, whatever, my goal is always to help women to become bolder in their faith, always.
Yes, I love it. I think we're like neck and neck, like we're doing the same exact thing. And as I'm listening to you talking about it, that's exactly what Reclaiming Your Life is to help women turn their breakdowns into breakthroughs and to be able to live their life that they always wanted to live. Like, we're going to have to connect and do something together because we are together on the same thing.
I love it.
Yeah. So I know that you were a teen mom. So can you give us a little insight on how that was being a teen mom? I know for me that would have been hard, but so how was that for you being a teen mom?
It's so crazy. So I was pregnant by the end of my freshman year in high school. So I probably was pregnant. And the reason I say I was pregnant by the end of my freshman year in high school is because I remember not being able to participate in the dance show. I was supposed to be on the front line in the dance show, and when it was the day of practice, I felt so sick. I was like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. I cannot practice. And so I got pulled out because if you didn't dress out in practice that day, then you didn't get to dance. And I remember thinking, like, I can't believe I feel sick. I never feel sick. And then lo and behold, a few months later, I found out that I was pregnant. What's strange is that, I didn't want my mom to find out. I was desperately trying to do everything to keep her from finding out. So I was initially going to have an abortion. And listen,
wow.
I was, 14, 15 years old, and so, one, you shouldn't be having sex. Two, you definitely should not be having children.
Right.
Because you know nothing. Like, you know less than nothing. And so I just kind of had this cavalier attitude about it. I felt like I did not want this kid to wreck my body. I was going to be old enough to wear, like, a little halter top this year or whatever. I had already gone school shopping, and I know that seems like such a shallow thing, but what other reasons would a 15-year-old have, right? I'm not thinking about anything except for these small, inconsequential problems.
Right.
But one day it was like, I remember getting ready to go outside for something, and I just walked onto the porch, and it was like this veil came off of my head, and for like the first time ever, it was like, oh my God, this is a baby.
Wow.
This is actually my baby. And I literally changed my mind. My mom had found out by then, and they were not really supportive of the abortion. They were like, you can get it up for adoption. We will help you. I'm like, y'all are not going to help me. I'm not having this kid. I'm not trying to go to school. I'm not trying to get fed. Like, I'm not, y'all tripping. So it was just this very cavalier attitude about it. But once I ultimately decided to keep my baby and have Micah, and I raised Micah, Micah's 22, I always had like a little smart attitude anyway. So I wasn't really concerned. I grew up in a small town, in government housing, and so teen pregnancy wasn't something that you didn't see. I come from a long line of teen parents, my mom, my grandmother, my aunt. So it wasn't so much like out of the norm. I just kind of kept with this cycle, right, of teen parents or whatever. But I always had an attitude like, I wish somebody would say something to me. No, I'll knock them out while I'm pregnant. So I didn't know that it should have been hard, right? I was really smart. I saw myself as a person who's super smart. So while everyone else was concerned about me not graduating, I thought that was the dumbest thing ever. The idea that I wouldn't graduate on time or that I wouldn't graduate with honors. Like, y'all are so stupid. I'm pregnant. I haven't lost my brain, like, obviously. But I didn't realize, how much work it would be. I mean, I still did the work, and honestly, I don't know how I did it. Outside of the Lord, my grandmother said, God protects babies and fools, and Michael was a baby, and I was a fool, because I thought, this is going to be so easy. And so I made it work, and I remember people would say, like, you're making it look so easy. You're making it look like you're glamorizing it. I'm like, I'm not glamorizing it. Right. I'm not going to have my baby out here looking crazy, nappy-headed, and not cute because somebody else thinks that teen parents, I'm like, I don't really know what to do. I got a job, and I stayed in school. I stayed at a traditional school. In my traditional honors classes, I did not go to a school for mothers. I went to a school that had a program for teen parents, but you didn't know I was a teen parent all day long. Like, nobody knew I was a teen parent. It's not that I wanted to hide it. I just had regular classes. I went to classes with everybody else. So unless I mentioned it, you didn't know because there was a daycare on site. And you just had to take that class as an elective. And anybody who wanted to be in childcare could take that class as an elective, so it wasn't that big a deal. Oh. So it probably should have been hard or whatever, but I was just so dumb, I didn't even know. I'm like, this could be easy. So it was fine. I mean, I do remember how hard I had to work. I did have to work hard, and I didn't get a lot of sleep. I remember thinking, like, I don't even remember my senior year in high school. Like, what? All these people would have all these memories. I'm like, girl, I do not remember that. I think I was constantly sleep deprived, but outside of that, I mean, it was fine.
Now, were you able, being a teen mom, were you able to still be a kid? Were you still able to have fun and do certain things? I mean, yes, you have a responsibility, but were you able to definitely go out and try to enjoy yourself as a teen?
What's funny is even though I was the first one of all my friends that were pregnant, I was so lame, actually. Like, outside of getting pregnant, I wasn't doing, I wasn't wilding out like a regular teen. I was, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he met a guy from our hometown. Right? And the guy's like, oh, how are you dating her? She's such a nerd. Like, she doesn't date anybody. She doesn't go out. I was like, he's right, because I wasn't out wild. But anything I wanted to do, I pretty much did. I had great friends. So Micah went with me everywhere. Like, we all had Micah, And my mom was relatively strict in the sense that she forced me to put Micah on her schedule, right? So she forced me to be a parent. Mm-hmm. I was a teen parent, that was pregnant or whatever. But there were other girls that got pregnant that I was friends with, and they never had their kid. Like, their mom always had their kid, and so when we went out, they didn't have to take their children. My mama was not having it, okay?
Right, you had to take your baby with you.
Yes, she was like, any place Micah can't go, you don't need to be. I used to be like, man, this lady is tripping, you know? But and so Micah had to be showered and in bed by 8 o'clock.
Right.
So as a 12th grader, my curfew, like it wasn't like I had to be home at that time, but I had to be home at that time because I needed to feed, bathe, and put Micah to bed. And Micah was on a routine. I was a teen parent, but I was an old mama. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I know there are a lot of young parents, and they do this young parenting style. I was like an old school mom. She went to bed at the same time every day, you know, like that, because my mother forced me. Now, she did watch her for me to do big things like homecoming, and prom, and anything she said no to that was a really big deal. Again, I had great friends, and they would babysit Micah. They're like, well, you can bring Micah to our house, you know. It's like having a lifestyle, like, baby doll, so it was fun.
That's really nice to have that support system, though. That was really nice of your friends to do that. And for your mom to even allow you to go to homecoming and prom, you know, she could have been like, no, you ain't going because Micah can't go.
Yes.
So I know you said that your boyfriend, who is your now husband, and I know that you guys have faced some issues in your marriage. Now, how is that for you and both of you, and what did you guys do to overcome that? Because I know a lot of people nowadays have, you know, challenges in their marriage, and you guys are still together, and some people would just say, you know what, I quit, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I'm washing my hands clean. But how did you guys overcome those issues?
Honestly, it's insane, right? Because we have been together for 23 years, which is the most, I know it's so
Congratulations.
We've been married for 18. But we have been together for 23 years.
Nice.
That is absolutely insane. And it sounds good, except for we were both crazy people. I mean, we probably are still a little bit crazy. But we were very wild, volatile, aggressive teens in our own right. Mm-hmm. So, like, anybody saying nothing slick to me, like, I'm ready on one. You got one time. You got one pass, right? And so he was also that way. And so our relationship was volatile at, to say the very least. And so what happens in relationships is that typically when you are dating younger, you know, you date and then you break up and you learn from that relationship and then you move on to a new relationship with a new person. Well, for us, every romantic, every deep scar, right, as it relates to love, I got from the man that I love today. Every scar. Wow. Every broken heart, every time my heart was shattered, he was the one who broke it. And that is, that's, sometimes it seems like it's an impossible thing to overcome, because typically somebody breaks your heart and then you move on and you learn from that relationship, right? And you don't take that into the next relationship. But not us. We, you know, did a lot of damage to each other, emotionally, physically. I'm serious in that job. But we've always had this love for each other. Like, we are family. That is my family. I tell people when I talk to married women a lot, it's like you love your husband and he is your partner, but he's not your family yet. Sometimes it's hard to make that distinction. My family, I'm here for good or bad, you know, up and down. This is my family. And I think a lot of times we say these vows for better or for worse. I know that when I said those vows at the right, bold, and super mature age of 20, I know that when I said for better or worse, what I meant was for better or better. In health and in better health. I did not mean for better or for worse. I did not mean worse. I meant only the good stuff. Right? So, just, he comes from a family, you know, his parents have been married for 100 years or something crazy, you know? And so he had this very strong sense of staying with it. Even with the trouble that we went through, even with the trouble he caused in our marriage, he was not the guy that was going to walk away. I was always like, I'm done, I'm out. And he's like, we are married. We aren't out. Like, you're mad, fine. But don't keep saying you're going to divorce me. He's like, if you're going to divorce me, divorce me. If not, don't say it again. And that was hard to take because as far as I was concerned, he had done the most damage.
Right.
He had done the most betraying. And for the person who has done the most damage to look you in your face and be like, listen, I said I was sorry. I said I'm going to work on it. You said you were going to say, so are you staying or are you going? Because if you say you're staying, you bet not say you're going again. For that to come from him, I was like, wait, what did he even say? I know he's not telling me I can't say.
Right.
I'm believing him.
Who
but
are
when
you?
Think about it, it's true. Right? You can't say for better or for worse, and then when worse comes, you're ready to be out. We want to avoid things being uncomfortable. And what I will tell you is that my faith saved my marriage. Bottom line, my faith saved my marriage. Because when you go to God to have a conversation with him about somebody who is dead wrong, who is wretched, who ain't got no good in them, I'm trying to tell the Lord about this dude I married. I'm like, this dude ain't no good. He means me no love, Lord. He don't love me. He don't care about me. You know, when you take that to the Lord, he's not really interested in talking about other people. He wants to talk to you about you, which is extremely frustrating. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't come to talk about me, friend. I came to talk about him.
Right. Hello. Look what he did.
I'm doing good things, Lord. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm the star of this show, so we need to get this, supporting actor. And so when you start having those thoughts, people don't want to say that. You think, listen, whoever's listening to this, there has been a time for so many of us where we felt like we were the catch in a relationship, and that is not a good thought to have. And I know I thought that. I felt like, not that he was trash, but just like if there was a competition on who got the better spouse.
And sometimes the grass ain't always greener on the other side, you know?
Facts.
I'm telling you.
When you have that attitude about it, like, oh, I'm the catch in this relationship, or I'm the perfect one, or I'm doing everything right, you are lying to yourself. And it's hard to have that conversation with God, because when you have that conversation with God, he always turns it around to you. God is not talking to you about other people. He is not. If you say, well, God said this, you're lying. God is not talking to you about somebody else's problems. That is not it. He wants to talk to you about your problems, because you have come to him, and so he wants to work on growing you. He wants you to be more like him. And he can have a conversation with the other person, which is really hard. It's really hard to be the spouse that God has called you to be with someone who is just doing whatever they want to do. It seems impossible. And what people will hear, and I'm going to say this on this podcast or on every single interview I have, okay? This idea that we both have to come to the table in order for it to work, that's crap, y'all. That's not true. I know y'all don't like to hear that. Yeah. I know we want to hear, oh, well, it can work out if you both are willing to work. That's actually, people of God, that's not Bible, just so we clear, right? And y'all can feel however, but I'm just talking straight up Word of God. The Word of God does not say you both have to be willing to work on it in order for it to work. That's not how this works. The Word of God says if you are a believer and the other person is not, and it doesn't matter if they say they're Christian, we are believers by what we do. So if your spouse is not living out their faith walk, then maybe they are a believer on paper, maybe they got a label, but they're not believers in their heart. And the Word of God says if you are married to a non-believer and they don't want to leave, don't you leave. You stay. Because one will be sanctified by the other. The other will be won over by your quiet and gentle spirit. Now, that's what the Word says. That's all I have, too. It's Word, okay? So this idea that I can't work on my marriage if he's not willing to come to the table and get counseling. God has said if he ain't leaving, if she didn't leave, we good, fam. We got this. You and the Lord, okay? You and the Lord. Now, the Lord say if they want to leave, they leave. Say deuces. Now the Lord did say they want to go, let them go. But if they're in the house with you, they haven't left. God does not. The Bible doesn't say, well, they both have to be willing to work on it. No, that's something we came up with so that we could give ourselves a way out. Right? The Word says one will be won over by the other. So the
Yes.
closer you get to Christ, the more you reflect Christ's love through your behavior and how you treat them, the more they will be drawn to it. And it cannot be in your timetable. It has to be however long God says it's going to take. Right? That's what you have to ask yourself. Am I willing to wait? And you can say no. Like, I'm not saying that, I'm not sending nobody to hell because they divorce, because they leave. I'm not saying God stopping your blessings. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying, though, if it is in your heart to fight for your marriage, because God is going to honor that. God is going to honor that whether it works out or not. That's the thing that people miss. It doesn't matter what you do. Anything that you do for God works out for your good. There are no mistakes. I'm making no mistakes. I don't have any missteppings that's going to hurt me. That's what the world says. But if we would learn to get into our word, then I'm not worried about what folks say ain't going to stop my blessings, because ain't nothing going to stop my blessings. Even when I make bad decisions, God says He's working together all things. That means the good stuff, the bad stuff, stuff I didn't know I was getting into, stuff I knew good and got doggone well I shouldn't have been getting into. He says God is working together all things. Not some things, not the good stuff, not the Christian stuff, not the faith-filled stuff, all of it. That ratchet, that righteous, your ups, your downs, when you sweet, when you nasty. He said He's working together all things for my good.
Come on. We just
right?
want the
That
church.
applies to our marriages, too. Right? That applies to our marriages.
Yes.
I think that we don't want to look foolish. I think that's why a lot of times we walk away. I dealt with infidelity in my marriage, and there's this sense of embarrassment, right? Like, before you get into it, what is it that we say? I would never say, if he did that, if he doesn't love you, yada, yada, so I'm leaving. So then there's this sense of embarrassment when I, in my heart, want to fight for my marriage because I've been cheated on. There's this sense of embarrassment and shame, right? And so now I'm leaving, not because I really want to leave, right? Because I'm embarrassed and I'm worried about what people are going to say.
Mm-hmm.
People who ain't been married 10 minutes.
Come on.
Anybody that's been married long enough has been through stuff and stayed through stuff they didn't think they were going to stay through, whether it was cheating, gambling, alcohol, like whatever. They stayed through stuff. Give them 50 years. They stayed through stuff they didn't think they were going to stay through.
Right.
I used to work at a nursing home, and I talked to a lot of old women, 90-year-old women. These women are crazy at this age. They don't care about nothing, child. They just tell you whatever. And so they would talk about how they had been married for 60 years, 70 years. And I would ask them, how? They're like, just stay married.
Just stay married.
I'm like, what? That's the dumbest advice. She's like, yeah, but if you decide to just stay married, then you can stay married for 60 years. They all talked about things that they stayed through, and they used to say, y'all are weak. That's what's wrong with y'all. You're weak. Why you don't be weak? You don't even know me. I've only been married 2 minutes, ma'am. You don't know if I'm weak or not. You're like, y'all weak, And so that stuck with me. That stuck with me throughout my marriage. And so when it was time people say, I'm not fighting for my marriage. Okay, well, don't fight for yours. I'm going to fight for mine, though.
Right. We got to get out of what people say, what people think, because at the end of the day, it's your marriage, and people are so quick to judge, to say, well, if I'm not going to be with so-and-so if they cheated on me, but you never know. You can't say something that you've never been in that predicament or that situation. When you're in it, it's different, and people will have, it goes to what kind of relationship you have. People make mistakes. Things happen, and like those people been married for 67 years. Trust me, they probably went through a lot of things, and that don't mean that their husband did not love them. You get what I'm saying? So we got to get out of that.
Yeah, we definitely do. We have to start seeking God for God and things. And so that's really like, man, if I could do anything, right? I pray about this, like, oh, God, if you could just help me do this thing. If I could get women of faith to take God at His word, like in real life situations, not just on Sunday at church and not just on Wednesday or whatever at Bible study, and not just in Christian conversations, but in real life, so that when something goes down in their marriage or something goes down with their children, that they don't respond the way the world does, that they go to the Word to see where God has done miraculous things. So either we believe in the power of God, and that's fine if you don't, right? Like I ain't trying to necessarily convert you, hey,
right.
I feel like that's not my calling. However, I'm talking to people of faith, we are, self-proclaimed Christians, and we believe in the power of God, but we don't when it's at our door. I believe in the power of God. I believe that Jesus was crucified. Come on. You believe Jesus was crucified, that they actually took this human being down and buried him. You believe that same human being in that body got up on the third day, right? Mm-hmm. This is the same Jesus that went to a grave and called a man who was stinking and dead for 4 days, called his name and called him up out of the grave. We believe that. But God can't save your marriage. God can't get your kids off drugs. God can't bring you out of depression. Like, come on, fam. Like, it's fake. That's fake. And fake faith and weak faith and faith without works is just dead. It's not faith at all. And we don't have the faith because we don't spend enough time in the Word. Spending time in the Word is not sexy. That's not a sexy thing. People come, I coach people. They want to be coached about one thing. They're struggling in some area. And I'm always like, okay, can we talk about your time in the Word, though? They don't want to talk about that. That's not sexy. They want me to give them some cute app strategy, something. And I'm sure lots of people who are not me have some great strategies for you. Like, I'm sure. You got to Google them because I ain't your girl. But what I'm telling you, it ain't me because I ain't got it. When I tell you there is nothing like confidence that is based on who God is, then y'all can't tell me nothing. You can't listen. You can't tell me nothing because I know who God is. And I only know that because of my time in the Word. So the devil can't have my marriage. I'm not out here like a fool believing that things that people do to me are of their own thing. I realize that we are fighting a spiritual war. I realize that there's a real life enemy, right, who wants to destroy your marriage. Mm-hmm. He wants to destroy your dream. He wants to destroy your family, your children. He ain't got no chill. The devil ain't got no chill. He's coming for any and everything that he can get from you. Yeah. And because I know that, I know I can't fight him on my own, but this is the thing. This ain't my fight. Right. So I don't want no trouble with me. I'll tell somebody that quick, in the flesh, listen, friend, you don't want no trouble with me because God is serious about me, and I hate it. You don't have to have a conversation with him about you, so you might want to think again. Before you use that tone with me, because he's serious about me, child. I know you'll be unemployed tomorrow, so don't do it to yourself now. Okay? Just trying to let you know who I roll with, right? Because he's got my back, and he always does. So,
right.
That's a lot, right?
Man, that was good. That was good. I mean, you brought us to church. That was good. So, I know you suffered with a loss in your family member to cancer, and that was a hard time for you. Can you share how that affected you? Because I know that you were really close to this person.
Yes, my cousin. Okay, he's my cousin, but he's like my brother. Y'all know I'm black.
He's my brother.
He's my cousin. My mom and his mom are sisters, but when we were little, our moms lived in the same house, and so we grew up together. And even once they moved out, we were always within walking distance, so we definitely grew up together, and we were really close. And he was diagnosed with cancer, 2011? And it was so crazy. It was like that he was diagnosed with cancer. I feel like, and like overnight, it took a turn for the worse. That's how I felt. Maybe that's not true, but that's definitely how I felt.
Right.
And it was so crazy because he was young. He was 33 when he was diagnosed with cancer. He was relatively healthy. I mean, outside of the cancer, he smoked and drink, Mm-hmm. And we just couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is not going to end this way. We prayed, we fasted as a family, and he continued to get worse and worse. That is without question the darkest time of my life. Wow. And before that period, I grew up in church. Like, I grew up going to church and doing like church stuff, like church programs and stuff like that. So I would have said that I was a Christian then, but I didn't have a actual relationship with God at that time. I didn't have an actual relationship. I just went to church, mm-hmm. and I prayed before I went to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, just these checklist types of things. And when 2K got sick, I really wasn't feeling God like that. I'm like, dude, you tripping. Like, I'm so good, fam. I ain't got nothing to say to you. I don't want to hear no church songs. I don't want to hear what God can do, because he can do whatever he want to do, but he not saving my cousin. So I don't want to hear no, I don't want, because like, oh, Courage, don't be like that. I'm like, man, y'all can rock with him, but I'm good. I'm so good. Like, I'm good. Because it wasn't that I didn't believe that God existed. I felt like you exist. You can make a different decision, and you are refusing to. Like, why? Do you know how many crappy people there are on the planet?
Man.
Like, facts. Okay? If you want to check somebody out, I got a list, friend. I mean, I got a couple people I love to trade, and this is just real.
Right.
A couple people I can trade in for him. Some people, they don't even take another breath. Okay? But it just didn't go that way. I was so depressed. I drank all the time. Wine mostly. So you don't feel like an alcoholic when it's wine, because you can drink wine every day. That's what people do.
Right.
We also kind of make jokes about drinking a bottle a day. I'm going to go home on a Friday night and drink a bottle of wine. Kind of talk about that. It doesn't feel like alcoholism, but this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that when you are using something that is detrimental to your health, that is not necessarily like working out or water or rest or meditation, to deal with stress or sadness or to escape, then you probably have a problem.
Right.
So it's not that, as a functioning alcoholic, I drank every day. The minute I got home from work, I was ready for wine. On the weekend, I was having wine with breakfast. I'm like, well, it's kind of like a mimosa. Let's get started early.
Right.
But I didn't want to be present. And, I had 3 kids and a husband, and it took all the energy I had to go to work every day. After that, I had nothing left. I had nothing left for my kids. I had nothing left for my husband. I literally would just grab a bottle, go in the room. I just cried all the time. I was so sad. The depression was so heavy. My marriage was in a tight spot anyway. I actually moved out at that time, left him and the kids, and that was horrible. And then I got this call from my cousin. It's actually, the caller ID was my aunt's number. So I assumed it was her, but I didn't answer it because I was crying, which is what I did in my off time, was cry. And it was actually my cousin, Cant. And he left me this voicemail message. He said, first of all, I'm from a small town, and I got a family where everybody be telling everybody's business.
Right, everybody know everybody.
Everybody know everybody's business. So he calls me, leaves this voicemail. He's like, Mama told me about you and Mike. And he's like, it really breaks my heart. And I want you to know I'm praying for y'all. I'm praying for y'all. That made me so angry. I was so mad at him. And I just cried more. I was like, people get divorced all the time. Who cares about this marriage? Boy, you should be praying. Don't be praying. Don't be wasting your prayers on that. You should be praying for yourself. Like, he had small children. He had a wife. They hadn't even been married that long. And you wasting your prayers on me? I was so mad, man. I did not have any appreciation for that call. I know it was meant to encourage me, but I had zero appreciation. And things just got worse. And when they called to say that he had passed, I just, we could see it getting worse, but it's like holding on to this barbed wire, pulling it, your hands are being ripped up, and you are just, begging. You're not even praying. You are just begging, please don't do this to us. Please don't do this to me. Just begging God. And I felt like, I honestly felt like he just didn't care, I don't understand how you don't care about this. This is, people say you're so great, but you don't seem that hot right now, And so after Toucan passed, things definitely got worse in my marriage and just worse in my home. And people want you to move on. They don't want you to be depressed. They want you to go back to normal. And so you pretend to be normal because it's just easier on other people, even though you are still dying on the inside, even though there's this heavy darkness that you can never escape from. It is with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even when people think you're happy, you are counting down to when this obligatory socializing is going to be over. so you can just go back to the dark space. Because there's comfort in your depression, there's comfort in your grief. And the more you cry and the more pain you hold on to, the closer you feel. Like, I felt closer to him. I didn't want to heal from it. I didn't want to get better, because it's like, if I get better, then he's going to be even further away. Like, the pain kept him close.
Right.
You know?
Right. I hear that all the time. Like, if you try to get over it, feel like you're going to forget about that person, and you're really not.
Yeah, it's hard. Somebody invited me to this church, and I didn't want to go because I'm from a traditionally black church, and this church is not traditionally black in any way, shape, or form. I was like, I'm not trying to go to this church, and like, but she kept begging me until I went. And it's this music is weird. It's like house music. I'm like, what kind of fake church
different,
is this right
different.
now?
You're used to the clapping and the whole shouting and
It's like, no, it's like house music. Like, I feel like I'm in a club or something. Like, what is happening? Why are these people smiling? There was a line when I got to the church, a line outside. I'm like, no, why are we waiting outside to get in church? It's just church. I was so annoyed. And this lady's smiling in my face, and I don't want people smiling at me because I'm still angry. I'm like, she'll get out of my face, you know. We get in there, and then this little white dude takes the stage. I'm like, oh, God, this is... You know what? It's probably going to be about 30 minutes. It'll be fine, you know? But he starts preaching from this passage that I use all the time when I was crying. And I used to say, this illness will not be unto death, right? Because that is what Jesus said about Lazarus. And so that's what he's talking about. He was talking about the expectation gap. When God does not meet your expectations. I sat up. I'm like, yes, talk about that. Let's get real, finally. The church is going to be 100 when the Lord lets you down. I'm like, this is a good sermon already. And he talks about it, and he said, sometimes this life with God can be disappointing. And I was like, amen. Church is silent. Because that's not really a place. That's not a really amen spot.
Right.
But my soul was like, yep. He is very disappointed. Praise God for the truth, baby. You know, it's so excited. The lady's looking at me like, oh, Lord. You know? But he didn't clean it up. He didn't say, but he didn't clean it up. He was like, no, sometimes the marriage ends. Sometimes you lose a house. Sometimes you bury a loved one. He was like, sometimes it just sucks. I'm like, yes, it does. Praise the Lord. It sucks. You know, he's like, but it doesn't take away from the goodness of God. And that was the first time that I had considered that things could absolutely turn out the worst case scenario and that God could still be good. I was like, that's different. I was like, that's different. Okay. And I continued to go. Elevation Church, Pastor Stephen Furtick. Shout out to Pastor Stephen Furtick. Hey. Matthew's campus, best campus. Holla. But I continued to go. I continued to go to the church, and I took my kids, and there was something different about the way he preached. He preached what was in the Bible, and I'm not saying other churches don't, but he preached it in a way where it was like, this is what God did, and this is what it means for you. So Monday through Friday, this is how you should be behaving. So it had an impact on how I live day to day. And I'm still sad for a very long time, but I say very committed to going to church. And he preached in a way that I've never seen before. And I thought, dang, I bet you he'd be encouraging himself all the time because he knows the Bible. Like, he really knows the Bible. I wish I knew the Bible like that. Like, you're not that special. I bet you I could know the Bible too, right? Like,
right.
I bet you I could do it. And so I started reading my Bible. He preached on tithing, giving 10% of your time, 10% of your first fruits to the church or whatever. And I thought, okay, that's fine. But what if I gave 10% of my days to God? So I just, calculated that, 2 hours and 24 minutes. And so my goal was to get 2 hours and 24 minutes in the Bible every day. And so I read the Bible like I was trying to get a PhD in Jesus, and that's how I am where I am. Like, that's how I got here from there, right? I actually got better. I just wasn't faking it. I realized that God kept me for a reason. I realized that, what I did in this life, it wasn't to say that I was okay with 2 kids passing but either that pain had a purpose or was useless. Right? And it's like, I'd hate for that pain to have been for nothing, for me not to have grown at all from such a tragedy. I mean, I felt like losing him to cancer at age 34, that was a tragedy to me because it changed my life. He wasn't just a cousin, that I saw sometimes. We talked every single weekend. And there were a couple weekends afterwards where I was like, oh, I haven't talked to Toucan in a while. And then I'm like, oh my God. And then like the boo-hoo tears, right? So, him passing actually changed my weekly routine. And so that pain would not be used for anything. I was like, no, I can't have that. Now we live through it, we're gonna do something with it. And so I started thinking about what my purpose was, and I said no to it for a very long time, but I'm glad to say I'm finally saying yes to it now. So.
Amen. You see, like you said, that pain had a purpose. And a lot of times we don't understand what God is doing or why certain things happen in our lives. But I am a strong believer that your pain will push you to your purpose. And I hear it so many times. And even though you lost your cousin and that was very, tragic, but as you said, that pain pushed you through your purpose to what you're doing now. So that way you can help women in so many ways. You can help women who suffered a loss, someone very close and dear to them. So we have to, think about the things that we go through and and I'm not saying that, it's going to be easy to get over a loved one, but we have to, remember that loved one. And then we also have to, continue to push forward, because even through that pain, it brought you to God. Like, yes, you knew God, but this is where you started building your relationship with God, and it brought you outside your comfort zone. It brought you to a whole different atmosphere, for him to grab your attention, for you to get it. Because and that's the thing, there's so many different preachers out here where they deliver their messages in a certain way that's going to connect with you. And I remember Sarah Jake said that the way, like, if she preach a message to certain people, they may not get it, but if her father preach it, they may get it. So she's gonna attract who she needs to attract and reach out to who she needs to reach out. And it's so true.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
definitely. I've definitely grown up, and I like to say this too. God revealed this to me. I don't think I'm smart enough to have to come to a small one to think it must have been some type of divine revelation. But we don't have a real concept of time.
No,
we think
don't.
We do, because it's like 24 hours a day, we 365 years. So we think that we have this idea of time. It's a long time, it's a short amount of time. And so I started thinking about small children, because I have a lot of younger cousins, like little cousins. I'm going to take over the world one small child at a time, just so y'all know. Little kids love me, okay? They love me. I'm recruiting them. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but they love me. So I have all these little cousins, and when they have to leave, we're talking like under the age of 4, if they have to leave the house, they're boo-hoo crying. Now, they call me to, I've never said this on an interview before. My little cousins, they call me Paquita. They call me Paquita. And so, if they have to leave, they're like crying. They want to stay with Paquita, but they got to go home. I want to stay with Paquita. And I'll say to them, I'll see you tomorrow. But that doesn't help them. They still are boo-hoo crying, because it's like they have no concept. So by the time you get home and go to sleep and wake up, Paquita will be at house, right? Like they have no sense of time. Now, we don't cater to them. We don't pretend like it is a tragedy, like they are behaving. I don't cry because she's crying. I'm like, girl, you better get in the car, we'll see you tomorrow, right? I have no chill. I'm not like, oh, fuck it. I'm like, girl, you'll get in the car, we'll see you in the morning, right? That is how God is with us. We have no sense of time. So it feels like, oh my gosh, I have to live all of these years without Toucan. I'm not going to see him for however long I'm going to be living, right? All these years. But for God, it's like one day is 1,000 years, right? So it's like, it's nothing. And 1,000 years is one day. So we feel like it's going to be forever before we connect to this person in heaven again. It's going to be a lifetime. But it's really not. It's really No, it's really not. We just don't have the same sense of time that he does. So, it seems like the end of life for us, it really is a continuation. It's just the end in this shell, in this body. It's just that the body has died. Because we're not really bodies, right? We are spirits, right? Spiritual beings living in these natural forms. So the body dies. And when the body dies, it's because the spirit has left the body. It's not because the spirit has died, right? And so that is such a super spiritual, super saint concept. It doesn't make it any less real, though. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not really the end, even though it feels like the end.
Right.
It's not.
It's so true. So I'm gonna get into this next question because I just love how you're just you. And a lot of people think because you're a Christian, you're a believer, you can't have fun. And I remember you did a video on Instagram like a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. And you were talking about basically just being you. And you were saying that you got tattoos. So what do you think about the statement that you can't have fun or you have to be a Christian so you got to live a certain way? Because I have tattoos as well, and I began to realize that, what, it's okay to be me and to still love God and praise him, and worship him. But what's your thoughts on that statement?
I think that what happens is that Christianity is spread from the pulpit, right? So our belief system is spread from the pulpit, and that's not how it's supposed to be, actually. It should be spread by the reading of the word, but we aren't doing that. So instead of us spending time in the word to realize and to hear from God ourselves, we just listen to what anybody says, right? And so, I
love what you just said. There may be something.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you, and it's fine. I love church. I ain't trying to go to church, people, friends. Go to church, okay? But if the preacher is the only time you hear a word from God, you are starving. And you know less than nothing about being a follower of Christ. You cannot learn about Christ on Sunday morning. Because the church, as a system, is not necessarily for that, right? People are like, well, they should be teaching that. They can't teach everything every single Sunday. Right? They can't teach everything every Sunday. You should be reading the word for yourself, because the more you read the word, the more you have a better understanding of who Christ is and who he hung out with and what worked and who his homeboys were. It's like, well, if that's who Jesus hung out with, why y'all acting like I can't act like this?
Right.
Because Peter, I tell people all the time, because I cuss. I try not to cuss all the time, but I probably cuss some. So I want to be like, oh my gosh, she's a minister. She goes, yes, I will. Please don't test me. Please. I'm like, Lord, please. Please, Lord. Please. Don't let these people shut my face, please, Lord, right? But I have a lot of, I'm in the South, and so the Christianity in the South is definitely more conservative, and so it's like, how can you call yourself a teacher of God's word if you cuss? I'm like, man, shut up. Peter cussed, and he was a gangster, and he was ready to fight, and he cut somebody's ear off. You know what I'm saying? Jesus had to tell him to stand down 100 times. And even though Peter cussed, Jesus said, on this rock will I build my church. If he can build a church on Peter, certainly he can do something with me and my cussing stuff. Like, come on. It's just not. I'm not saying that cursing is okay. I'm saying you're not going to. People think they're going to hell for everything. Like, man, cut it out. I tell people all the time, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. It's the Lord. I don't need you to tell me nothing. Do you hear what I'm telling you? You don't need to say nothing to Courage Molina. What I suggest you do is put a prayer in the air and then let the Lord tell me, because I don't need you telling me jack, friend. Okay. Especially if I ain't ask you. Because I need the Lord to tell me. Let the Lord say, Courage, nah, you got a little bit too much cleavage, friend. Like, I don't know what we're doing, but can you come? And I can be like, you know what, you're right. Let me put a tank top on. You're right. Let me put this tank top on. I think that if people were more concerned about, spending time in the Word and getting to know God and living out their purpose and less about trying to control people, Because that's what I don't understand. Like, how it's what you do, and I'm not, condoning reckless behavior. But what I am saying is, how is what you're doing in your life affecting my relationship with God? I promise you it's not. And if I see that you are reckless or whatever, and I have a relationship that has given me the authority to ask you a question or to be like, girl, hey, friend. Now, I ain't judging you, but I'm saying this is feeling a little reckless right now. What we doing, right? Because we're talking about things that might be dangerous for you or whatever. But this idea, I can't have a nose ring, or I can't get another tattoo,
Right.
or I can't shake what my mama gave me. Like, man, y'all can miss me with that. Now, I'm not going to a club. That's just me.
Right.
That's not my thing.
Right.
But I want a dance class with the lights out, and I want to drop it like it's hot while I work out.
Yes.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be working out to, Kirk Franklin. And I like Kirk Franklin, but I don't want to work out there.
I hear you, sis. I hear you.
That's just not for me. I ain't knocking anybody that want to do it. That's fine. But I feel like if we concentrated more on loving people instead of trying to control them, I think that the world will be so much better. And I can honestly tell you, like, anything I gave up doing, like, I don't fight anymore. I guess I shouldn't say, like, I would never fight a person or whatever, but I was way quicker. Like, I was a lot quicker to respond with the physical, in a physical way than I am now. And that was a change. I don't care if people are like, oh, you're old enough. No, that's not why. It's because having these conversations with God, the more time I spend with him, I'm like, okay, that's not a good look, right? Like, that's not a good look for the Lord. I want to be an ambassador for Christ, so I don't want to be out here not, getting into fist fights in the street or whatever. So, making some changes in my life and in my lifestyle. I'm not out in the street, like, just cursing it up. Like, I say I curse because y'all might hear me curse, and I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm a hypocrite, but I'm not out in the street, like, cussing folks out and stuff like that. Like, that's not my thing or whatever. So I have made lots of changes, how I respond to my husband, the things that I do in my day-to-day life. I have changed tremendously, but I promise you, none of those behavioral changes came because somebody told me so. It came because I love God so much, and he imparts things on our heart. Like, he is the creator of communication. So why you think that, if you don't say this, like, well, the Lord said he's supposed to open rebuke. Yeah, but you need to have a relationship with these people. And if you look in the Bible, if you're actually reading it to see who he talked like that, who he spoke that way with, he did not speak that way to anybody who was struggling in their faith. He only spoke crazy. He got gangster with the religious leaders. So catch that. Okay? That's just Bible. I'm not throwing shade. I'm throwing word. This is just the word of God, friends.
Yes. The word of God.
That's it.
So what's one advice that you can give women or anyone who is struggling with acceptance of what God has called them to be? Because let me tell you, just like how you said you were saying no for a while, I was saying no for a while. So what can you say to someone who is struggling to accept what God has really called them to be?
I can say that you're going to keep struggling until you say yes. I know that's not helpful. It doesn't really encourage you in any way, but that's just the fact. It's not working now, and it's not going to work until you say yes. The reason you're struggling is because you are out of alignment. I was thinking about this thing that I, posted on my Instagram, and it was like, don't try and keep up with me because you will be exhausted. And so people are like, oh my gosh, she's so whatever. But this is the thing. You don't need to keep up with me because what I'm doing is for me. I was made for this work, period. So you need to be doing you, this thing that you've been called for, because what you will find is that you will go farther, faster, quicker, right? Mm-hmm. If you stay in your lane and do your purpose and say yes to God, you will find that you will accelerate your growth. You will accelerate your success if you do it that way. You are struggling to do this thing because you're not in the right lane. You're in the wrong lane, going in the wrong dang on direction. And truth be told, you already know that. Like, you already know it. So the question is, are you going to continue to struggle, or are you ready to just be like, well, man, this ain't working no way, so I might as well say yes. And that's the yes that I gave. I was like, this ain't working. I'm really trying real hard
I hear
to
you.
do this thing that other people are winning, right? And it's not like that's a horrible thing. Other people are winning in this circle or in this arena, and you feel like this is more comfortable. I'm much more comfortable operating in this lane. I want to make this work, but it's not working because the thing that you've been called for, truth be told, if we're being honest, you feel unworthy and unqualified for the work. You feel like you are not good enough to do this thing that God's calling you. That's why you're scared.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're not saying yes. Not because you've never seen it done before. It's because every time you think about the thing you've been called for, you immediately feel exposed. Like every dirty thing, bad thing, negative thing, every single failure you've ever had, it's now, in full view of the world.
Yes.
Every single time you think about saying yes.
It's so true. A lot of people feel that way. If you ask anyone who's walked into their purpose, they always say, God, are you sure? Because when I was just at my, we had an entrepreneur prayer breakfast that we host here where I live, and we're actually traveling with it now. And my business coach had asked her pastor, she was like, what did you say to God when he told you to, when he called you to become a pastor? And she said, God, are you sure it's me? So we all question, like, God, is this what you really want me to do? Because I don't think so. Because like you said, we sit here and say we're not qualified and we don't fit it, but we are, and when you do it, you just feel so free.
Listen, it's not a one-time yes either. Let me just be clear. It's a continual yes. You have to say yes every day. The Lord's got no chill, man. He's not going to let you say yes today. You're like, oh, this is good. I can kind of do this. The minute that you say yes, and you're like, oh, this is kind of chilling, then he wants to take you to the next level. And you're like, man, that's it. Yes, one time. Now you want to do this? Like, dog.
Yes.
Right? It's not a one yes system. It's a continuous yes.
You're so
I'm going
right.
to continue to say yes. I'm just going to go ahead and make that your default. Yes, yes, yes. Like, be a yes man. When it comes to the Lord, just be a yes man, okay? Just keep saying yes. That's why I started saying, it's cute that courage is my name, but courage is a lifestyle. And so if you want to pursue your purpose, if you want to, live out the promises of God, then you have to embrace courage as a lifestyle. You have to stop being resistant. The minute that I say yes to courage as a lifestyle, that means I have changed my expectations. I expect for there to be lots of uncertainty. Courage is not required if I'm sure. I expect for there to be some fear. Courage is not required if you ain't a little bit scared. So that is, I'm embracing it as a lifestyle instead of resisting saying yes to things that I'm uncomfortable with or things where I have doubt. I'm just going to decide to say yes. And the foundation, the thing that fuels this courageous lifestyle is bold faith. And faith comes by hearing. And hearing comes by the word of God.
Yes.
So, I know I keep saying that the word of God has answered everything. And it's because it basically is. You're not really sure what to do in your business. Open up the Bible, read a couple scriptures. God's going to give you a download. And then you're like, oh, I was just reading the Bible. And then I got this great business idea. And now I'm making $1 million. Like, that's how it works. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Yes. So,
yeah.
So the podcast, the podcast is titled Reclaiming Your Life, but that is also, my business. And everybody have their own reason why they reclaimed your life. So I want to ask you, what was your reason that you wanted to reclaim your life?
Because I felt like if I had known, if somebody had been there to tell me, show me the way, that my life could have been better so much sooner, right? Mm-hmm. That if I had known this about the Bible, if I had known this about faith, then I could have had more confidence. I probably wouldn't have dealt with depression at the level that I dealt with it. I probably would have been more resilient. So I felt like I want to help somebody else too, right?
Yes.
Like, if I'm going to do this thing, if I'm going to live, I should be able to help other people along the way. So that was the real reason.
Yes, love it, love it, love it, love it. So I'm all about inspiration. Anybody who knows me know I love me some good quotes. That's what I live on. Like that's what had got me through a lot of things. So what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote. Is it wrong for me to use my own quote? I
No,
mean, it's not
it's
even that
not,
deep.
because that's your favorite
Okay.
quote.
Okay. My favorite quote is "Get real and get better." Like, you should say that to any and every situation. You're like, get real and get better, because we lie all the time. Like, we just be lying to ourselves, right? We lie to ourselves all the time about what we want, about what we're tired of. And we cannot get better until we get real. You just have to get real. Stop faking like you want a simple life. You want a mansion. Just be 100 about it. Say, you know what? You're right, girl.
Hello.
I actually want to be a millionaire.
Hello.
Or, just like be honest. Get real. Like, I'm ashamed of these things that I've done. You have to be honest about that. You have to own the fact that you feel shameful, you feel guilt about whatever it is, because it's not until you get real that you can get better. You cannot get better from a fake place. God is not blessing who you pretend to be. You're not healing from, you know what I'm saying, from a disease that you're more comfortable with saying that you have, other than the one that you are actually struggling with. Stop pretending like you're not depressed. You are. Get
Right.
real about the fact that you are carrying this weight. Get real about the fact that your marriage is falling apart. It's falling apart. Y'all don't even like each other real talk. Like, we're not even talking. This dude is sleeping on the couch. Only time y'all see us together is when we at church. Like, getting real about that. And I'm not saying you have to put that on your social media or whatever, but you just need to get real about where you are.
Right.
Because the minute that you get real about the problem or about the true desire, that's when you can start to get better. That's when you can start to seek help or get a strategy or level up or whatever. It absolutely does not happen while you are pretending. I don't care if you're pretending that it's all good or if you're pretending that it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it is, you have got to get real about it. Stop saying you want to lose weight when you just want to eat ice cream. Like, do you?
Hello.
I'm eating ice cream as soon as we're done. Okay? Like, facts. You don't have to say you want to be a size 6. Don't say it.
Right.
Then the minute that you say you're okay, like, just get real. The minute I realize, okay, I actually am not going to lose weight, right? What I am going to do is I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to eat salad every time I feel like eating salad. And I'm going to dance. And whatever my weight is from that life, that's going to be my weight right there. Like, that's going to be what it is. Because I'm going to eat ice cream when I get ready. I'm eating bread. I'm eating bacon. Okay?
Okay.
The minute that you get real, you release yourself from this guilt of not succeeding, right?
Yeah, it's so true.
Right? You're failing at something you don't even really want to do. How does that make sense? Like,
right. You gotta
stop
own
it.
it.
Get real.
Gotta own it. I love it. Love it. But you know what, Courage? I'm happy that I had you on. I enjoyed that conversation. I love how you was getting in the word. Like everything about this was so amazing. You definitely schooled me on a couple of things, and also showed me that it's okay to be you, because we're not living for other people. We living for God. And that's all that matters. So, can you just share and tell people how they can get in contact with you?
Yes, you can get in contact with me on Instagram, Courage Molina, or Facebook, Courage Molina, or the website. Can you guess what it is? CourageMolina.org.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.